welcome to the European Ham Radio Show. And today we're going to do the same as DX Engineering has done on Facebook, and a little small up-and-coming YouTube channel called Ham Radio Crash Course has been doing on YouTube as well. We're going to bust ham radio myths. And the first myth, that only men do ham radio. As you can see from the panel, we've already busted that myth.
Yeah, and only 52 seconds into the show. Wow.
Hey.
Great.
So we're busting myths, not to be confused with Mythbusters, because I think that is a trademark.
Yep.
Now we've done, don't take our legal advice, as we usually say. Anyhow, we got a full panel and only an hour, so let's get started with the ham radio moment of the week. And yet again, you got to work me yesterday in terrible band conditions. I guess that is your ham radio moment of the week.
Yeah, but do you think the band conditions were that terrible? No.
I had 4 QSOs in an hour. Yeah.
Okay. But you were strong with 100 watts in Austria. I mean, 5.9. That's great.
Yep.
That's amazing. My ham radio moment of the week, I would say, yeah, someone told me a myth, I think 2 weeks ago, about this antenna, telling me it's not working.
That's not a myth. That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's working. It's working. I did a Parks on the Air activation with it this week. Just made, I think, 12 contacts or maybe 14 contacts or so. It was extremely hot in Austria, so 36, 37 degrees. So it was a very short activation. But hey, this thing is working.
So
unbelievable.
You're the one that got the one working version of that.
Maybe.
Yeah, because I think I had like 2 QSOs on that one on a few attempts.
No.
I've never been able to tune one of those.
Me neither.
No, it's working. Tested it on 20 meters, and yeah, that was it. If it is working on 20 meters, it should work also on 40. I have to say it's extremely narrow band also on 20 meters, so you have to tune the top when you move from the lower edge of the band to the higher end of the band. Yeah, but this is the Radiolity HF008 mobile antenna. To answer that question.
Is that the same as the Backpacker or similar to the Backpacker 2000 antenna?
I don't know.
Outbacker, you mean?
Outbacker, yeah, the Outbacker. Yep. It's a similar thing. Yeah, you have to shorten these coils with a wire, and this is 40 meters, and then you have 20. Where's my camera? 20, 17, and so on, and up there you have 6 meters.
And there's also an MFJ version of that antenna, and that's the one I've been trying, and that doesn't work.
Yeah, could be. I also had the MFJ one, and that's the thing that makes it not work. That sounds plausible, actually.
That has happened before. So
so the 3 letters, if it would brand it differently, it would work.
Yeah, and we're not going to say that abbreviation.
Overall, this antenna is just 136 centimeters, 137 centimeters long on 20 meters. Yeah, but it's astonishing what you can do with it. I mean, it's no, how should I say? It's not the ultra super cool antenna, which performs very, very well. But hey, put it in a backpack or, keep it with you. Take it with you when you're on holidays. It's working. I cannot say.
I mean, in the end, it works like all the other antennas, right? There's a coil,
right.
There's a bit of wire above the coil, and either you hit your resonance point or you don't hit it. And of course,
as Morten is always saying,
there's nothing magical to it.
Right.
Okay. Exactly.
I was going to say it depends, because the thing is, you are of course right, Tobias, but the deal is to move from 14 megahertz to 7 megahertz, you move it 2.5 millimeters. So it's kind of difficult to tune. That's the thing.
Second ham radio moment of the week. I'm sorry. Yesterday it was tower climbing time again, because over the years at our club station at the Red Cross, the mast was bent because of the wind load, and we had to bend the mast a little bit back. So we had to loosen all the screws, and we pulled it a little bit back. So now it's straight again, and that was the fun part yesterday morning. So it's a good exercise on an early Saturday morning.
That's a video I'd like to see.
Yeah,
you straightening a bent antenna mast. That would make a good video.
Yeah, no, I haven't done a video yesterday, but you see the mast in my other videos, so you can imagine how it works. We just
yeah. But those are two good ham radio moments of the week. So let's head over to Maine. Isn't that right, Marion?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What's your ham radio moment of the week?
Well, I will tell you, but before I do, I was consulting with Charlotte, and we thought it would be interesting to start a game to see who says it depends the most and who says it depends the least. And it's only 2 p.m. here, so I'm going to rewatch it tonight about 11, and it's going to be a shot game. Every time somebody says it depends, you get a shot. Hopefully somebody out there in the chat will start a tally for us of that famous word. So I missed the show last week in terms of the chat, which I love to be in the chat. I missed it because it was field day, and I want to share some pictures from field day. So let me go over. Can I share my screen?
You can share your screen, and I'll put it up as soon as you've shared it.
Oh, I have to say share it. Can you see it?
Let's see. No, it's not up. If you hit the present button at the bottom there.
Oh, okay. Hit the present button. Okay.
And then share screen.
Share screen. Okay.
And then you choose if it's a window, if it's a screen, or whatever you want to share.
Okay, a window. And I want to share this one and share.
Yep.
Okay. You can see it now?
We can see it now.
Okay. Now can you see it?
Yep.
Okay, good. So I was saying Tobias knows how to put himself down in the corner. I don't quite know how to do that. But so this is field day. And field day in the U.S., I don't know how it compares to field day in other places, but field day in the U.S. can be anything from a picnic and a reunion. Maybe everybody has to make one QSO and that's it. All the way up to full-blown MCOMs. We're going to simulate an emergency. We're going way out in the woods to a contest situation. So it's a lot of different things, field day. It's not a contest, but it's on the contest calendar. It's not a contest, but there are points. So I don't know. But anyway, so we start out putting a big sign out by the highway so people know where we are. These are organized more by topic than by day. We set up on Friday. We were there by 9 a.m. Saturday morning. We started operating at 2 p.m. Saturday afternoon, and we went to noon on Sunday, and then we started tearing everything down. So I was awake for a 36-hour stretch there, which I've never really done. So when you pull into the school, this is Saturday. Rain was the story of the day. We have a Get on the Air station. You can see there's a big tarp over the tent. That's the Get on the Air tent. That sort of canopy next to it eventually fell down because of the wind and the rain. So perseverance was kind of the story of the day. So we had 4 stations, and one of those was the Get on the Air station. This was the Get on the Air station in the middle of the night. She had, excuse me, she had at least 1, maybe 2 people in there almost all the time. That's usually our goal. Our club goal is to see if we can keep someone on all the radios for 22 hours. and we never quite make it, but we come really, really close. And we had some new club members who have just gotten their licenses who wanted to do the Get on the Air station, and they just camped out over there, and it was great. So we had that. We had, I think, 22 visitors, even in the rain. So that was a real highlight for us. So the GOTA station is sort of like the visitor center, and the trailer here is where the CW guys hang out. And the CW guys are where the business happens. Like, they don't mess around. They have schedules. They have their rotation. You really don't want to go in there and bother them, including W1BOY, who was a part of the CW team this year. So they are like the business or the science side of things. They have the most precision. This is their antenna. They had a crank IR. Oh, I should have said the GOTA station had an ICOM 7300 and a chameleon vertical, and also an end-fed half wave, I think 20 meters at the GOTA station. So at the CW station, they have this crank IR. It's a step IR product. Our call sign, our club call sign is W1TU. And that's always funny, you know, after you've gone for 15 hours and you start wanting to say your own call sign instead of club call sign. So we set that up on Friday. I thought maybe somebody wanted to jump in there.
I got to say, it shows that you have a lot of planning behind your field day event there, Marion.
We do. We start probably the end of March, 1st of April, with some special meetings. And there's about 15 of us that will stay for the entire time. And then other club members will come and go. So, excuse me. So the CW trailer, the CW guys, they don't take pictures either. Generally speaking, my club doesn't take pictures. I asked them to take some pictures of me because I'm always taking the pictures, and I'll show you the one picture that I got a little bit later. But so this is a CW station. They had an Elecraft K3. And again, they don't mess around. You can see we were using N3 FJP. I think I have that right. Mm-hmm. And this was the first year we had it networked, which was really, really fun because we could see who's on what band. We could see how many QSOs the different stations had. And so there was a little bit of friendly competition there. So that made it really fun. So that's the CW trailer. Around the corner from the CW trailer is this dugout, this baseball dugout. And they were putting up an antenna there. That's our digital and satellite station. And they tend to take the best pictures. So this is a collage. I'm the primary blogger for our website. And so this is a collage that I put together for the website story. The guy up here in the top left, he's keeping up with the networking. He's keeping up. The ARRL has all kinds of special points, like for different kinds of mail going around, different kinds of bulletins and things. He was also doing satellites. Then we have FT8 here going. Excuse me, I have FT8 going over here. And then we had other people on the FT8 station. The FT8 station was one of those where you could move around. Like, people would want to do it, it was more shared. Unlike the CW, you kind of do CW or you don't. So some of the new people who visited got to do some FT8. And then this is the satellite antenna. So the dugout here is sort of like the communications hub because they had their eye on the networking. They're doing all kinds of different things. They're not quite as repetitive as the CW or the Get on the Air station. So in my little village, we have the visitor station, we have the science business end, we have the communications hub, and then this is where I stayed, which is kind of like the pub, the HF phone station. We had this little bitty tent. And this is where you go when you want to hide in the corner and sit in a chair and pretend you're paying attention, but you're really sleeping. You want to get away from somebody and just kind of take a break. You need some alone time. That was tended to be where people would go. You can see we have the hex beam, which we build every year and then crank up. That comes in the smallest package, that big old thing up there. So you can see, this was obviously before we got started. This was Saturday morning. You can see it's wet. It's already been raining. And this tent has like a room on this side. It has a room on the other end. And then the middle is where you go in. And the middle is where we had our table. Well, it turned out to be a bad idea to put this on the gravel, because I'm going to switch to the next one. It started flooding. You can see there, this tent is open down here. And when it started raining, we had a river going through the bottom of that tent. And so using like the foot switch and that kind of thing got really complicated. You can see we had an ICOM 7300. We had a Elecraft K3. This back here is the networking for the laptops for the logging. And so, yeah, I mean, part of field day is, in an emergency, you work with what you have. And this wasn't an ideal tent, but somebody volunteered it and you have to make it work just like it was an emergency. So that's what we did, but it was an adventure. Eventually the foot switches, even after it stopped raining, got gravel in them. They got stuck. We were banging them on the table to get them
yeah.
It was hilarious. We were toasted. Like we had been up for like, who knows, 20 hours or something. And so you'd have to hold the foot switch with your hand and say Whiskey 1 Tango uniform. And then you'd bang it on the table to get the thing to bounce off, right? So to quit the transmit. And so it was just this constant, 3 Alpha Mike Echo, wham. And
it was clearly not designed for outdoor use, that foot switch.
Right. Well, not in the gravel, not in wet gravel, that's for sure. So that made it kind of entertaining. I did get to work a frequency, actually quite a bit, which was good fun. I know some people like pileups. Sometimes a pileup feels like an assault of sound to me. Like I just get nothing. And my coach, who you can't see there, he's kind of cut off. But my coach was saying, just pick something. Just say W3 station, because it's field day. Like there's bound to be one.
Maybe just make it up, right?
If you can't hear anything, if you can't pick anything out. So I started doing that. And I remember one time I said station ending in Lima, and this really quiet station came on and gave their call sign. And he said, I'm surprised you could hear me. And it's like, yeah, actually, I really didn't hear you. Just got lucky on that one.
That's fun.
We had like 7 people operating. We kept it going the whole time, all night long. This was the one picture of me. I'm on my phone. I'm like, thank you. How long have I been operating this radio? But this is the picture of me. I was checking DX Heat. If you don't know that website, DX Heat, it's a good way to see what bands are open. And we had just switched operators, and I was checking to see which bands were open. So the social media was just fun if you love that kind of thing. I was sending stuff, obviously. Yeah, I was about to go paragliding. You could almost see how red my hands are getting. That sucker was tight. And I think the guys on the other end were like having a cup of coffee or something. I don't know. I'm like hanging on to this thing, and they're over there discussing something or other. They said, you're going to go paragliding. And it's like, yeah, I kind of feel like it. But I was sending stuff to the ARRL, to my friend at Q5 Worldwide Radio. And I actually got a message from the ARRL saying that they hoped that W1BOI and I had a great field day. I'm like, all right. So that part was a whole lot of fun. I did have important jobs. The top here, this is my friend and mentor, Joanne, W1DLC. She ran the GOTA station. This is my good friend, Barbara, KC1 SSY. She's new like I am. She was our safety officer for field day. I had important things like being on the welcoming committee, stabilizing the hex beam, making sure the hex beam didn't blow away, checking on people. You know, I did have some important jobs, and I actually did operate. Even I don't have any evidence of it except in the log. And this is my last one. He came over to visit me. He was so busy in the CW trailer, I really hardly ever saw him. You can see up above our head the tent. It's raining. It was such a miserable day, but you know, you persevere. You get through it. So I think he's in the chat too. I haven't looked, but anyway. So we had a great time. So I'm going to stop sharing and give it back to you, I think.
But I gotta say, that sounded like a really nice field day, Marion.
It was so much fun.
And we've had our field day specials here, and I was going to say it depends how serious each of us takes it. Go ahead, take a drink.
Yeah.
I think Bob's club is on the lighter side of seriousness on field day.
Come on, we had at least 10 QSOs on our field day.
Yeah, well, we go for the first place.
So it's barbecue and accidental QSO, or no?
We have our own guy cooking for us.
Oh, that's nice.
at field day, so we can operate most of the time.
That's nice.
But that's really nice, though. Looking forward to field day here, which is in September. That's going to be a lot of fun. Kjetil, what's your ham radio moment of the week?
Well, firstly, very cool presentation, Marion. And I think there's a myth that we're going to cover myths in this show, since we're not even halfway. Yeah, I had quite a few moments, but the biggest was I was on a soda, and first I heard Jørgen, of course, powerful as normal. And then I heard a guy who made Jørgen sound like a QRP station, and he was from Australia.
Ooh.
Yeah, he was just beating down on me. And that's the first Australian SSP QSO I had on 24. I can't remember last time, 2 or 3 years or something. That was epic.
Yeah, that is definitely a really good ham radio moment of the week.
Yeah, and also I also had some fun short skip ones. Like 20 is usually a bit longer, so like you can't reach Norway or Sweden, at least not the southern parts. But there's a Swedish guy, Sierra Mike 3 November Radio Yankee. I think he's an avid POTA hunter.
Yep.
And he's hunted me 3 or 4 times on 20 meters this week. And today he was clearly the strongest station. That is fun with propagation, like really being strange.
Yeah, the only time I've had him on 20 was in Scotland, so that doesn't really count.
Yeah. Of course, really nice to talk to you as well, Jørgen, but an Australian is slightly more exciting.
Australian sounds almost the same if you ask me.
Yeah.
Some people might get confused.
No kangaroos in Austria.
Are you sure about that? I think that's mostly been it. I haven't done very much radio this week, other than building that really nice spool antenna that we showed last week. It should be here somewhere, but really nice build and easy to screw together when I got the right screws, at least for it. And it worked like any other end-fed antenna.
So there's nothing magical to it.
Well, I actually ended up with 0 QSOs on that activation, but that was during that solar event we had this week. So with 20 watts, so it's not that critical. So I think I'm going to leave it at that, I think.
Yep. Tobias, any exciting things in your life this week?
My life is always exciting.
Ham radio related.
Yeah, exactly. That's the catch, right?
Not renovating your house, because that seems like also an exciting thing.
Never-ending story. Yeah, I'm still busy with the aftermath of the fair. Of course, Jürgen is done. He did a live streaming and can move on to bigger, better things. But I have 3 days of footage to turn into halfway bearable or watchable videos. So that will be ongoing for maybe another 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know. But making progress there. And what else? Yeah, this is my home improvement project. Yeah, I didn't burn down the house. I fixed my damaged wire problems. And as you can see, the orange bit back there, that's the famous Vago clamps that everybody likes to use in Germany. And I think it's not so bad. There are other areas where the electric installation in the house is worse. And got everything wired up again. So this is also not a ham radio moment, but it's messing with electrics when you should not really do that moment. Good moment is the cat has come to terms that I'm back from being away for 3 days, so she's not angry anymore. So she's happy and purring. And finally, I managed to get 3 pack sets to work on sending off the NFET half-wave antennas that we raffled off on our 100th show, right? So things are moving forward slowly. But nothing really exciting. Yeah, I released a few videos, but I don't want to bother you with it. You just look at my channel, and if you like to watch them, you watch them, and if not, you don't watch them.
I have a question about that last image. If you put an antenna in that pack set, would that make it a pack antenna?
Maybe, yeah. But will I infringe any? No, probably not.
George is a nice guy, so he's also a fan of the show, so he'll probably let it slide.
Yeah.
Okay.
And George, let us know in the comments if we're able to call an antenna in a pack set a pack antenna.
Maybe not. Anyway, I think I'm only missing. I think I'm missing William's address, right? I got Charlotte and Stian's, and I still need William's address, and then I can try to send them out in the next days, next week. I try my best.
Yeah, but that's nice though. William wants to know how Vago is spelled, and I've spelled it out for him in the chat. So if you're wondering how to spell Vago, it's down in the chat.
Yeah, like Wagyu, just no.
No. And Charlotte, any exciting ham radio moments this week?
So honestly, not really. We were actually away, so I took the little one off for a holiday for most of last week, so that was nice. So I was mostly parenting. However, the week before, I did get a little piece published with RSGB for International Women in Engineering Days. They were kind of showcasing different kind of hams who are engineers and kind of how radio kind of contributes to that. So I did.
Was that the draft that I got to read, Charlotte?
Yeah, it was. I sent the draft to a
great.
few different people to be like, is this going to be the most boring thing you've ever read in your life?
How come I didn't get one of those?
I didn't get one either.
No. But the most important thing, did Kjetil get one?
He did.
Yeah.
Draft?
You think you got no, you got both. You got the draft and the finished thing, I think.
Yes, I think so. I think I proofread it or something for some reason.
You corrected Charlotte in her English, right?
She is actually quite good at speaking English and writing it.
I wonder how that happened.
He says this a lot. Quite good. Quite good. Like, I hope so.
It was a good article. I saw it on the Ham Radio Women Facebook group, so it was getting around.
So everyone's seen this except Morten and I.
Yeah, you have to read it up, and then you know what an amazing person Charlotte is here joining us in our show.
I've seen
I don't mean that as a joke. I mean that serious, right? You read that and you see, wow, it's a very nice article.
I've seen the finished product. I just didn't see the draft.
Okay.
All right. So it's just me then. Can someone please post it in our Discord?
It has been posted in our Discord.
Can someone repost it or point me in the right direction?
And
Help me, it's hard.
speaking about that, our Discord is hamshow.eu/discord.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
We are
it's
not very
just
good on the
organized
myth
show.
side, but we are getting.
I have a feeling we might run a little bit long today.
Well, why not?
I did bust 2 myths though with that article. One is the whole female engineer thing, and the other one is ham radio, women in ham radio. It's kind of two in one there, so that was good. But yeah, that was kind of the main thing, I think. So I'd sent that across to them a while before, but it was really nice to be asked, I think, for this sort of thing, because my ham radio shenanigans are usually kind of very much shenanigans. So I'm like, oh, build an antenna, let's see if it works, maybe it will. No, I'm taking it to Shettles and be like, help. It's not resident on the bands it's meant to be, what do I do? But it's good fun. It's, I like it, and I like the fact that there's a lighter side to this as well. It doesn't matter if you don't get it all completely right first time. So
Yeah.
I'd like to kind of talk a bit about
it's
that.
part of learning, though. You gotta fail in order to learn.
Yeah. One important point to say there is I'm just providing tools for you to fix it yourself.
Okay.
Yes. And guidance, of course.
Small eggs, medium eggs, big eggs, something like that.
Yes, and of course cameras to film the entire process.
Oh no. Yeah, we can talk
Blowtorch, egg splitter. I'm already looking forward to that video.
Yeah.
instantly be demonetized though if this is a live stream, so I'll just be swearing the entire time.
Yeah, and on the live stream thing, it may be that we too will be streaming a antenna build this week. So look out for that in the Discord.
Yep.
Very cool.
I'm going to be on vacation, but I might have time to sit live.
That is not an excuse.
Probably not.
you've been
But
told.
I do have some plans to do some PODA, and I really need to do some family time as well.
I know that.
Was that all, Charlotte?
Pretty much. There's one thing I did want to ask you guys and people in the chat as well. So one experiment we might do is film a video for what might be my YouTube channel, and I need a name for it. So if people can think of a name, that would be awesome. Suggestions in the chat, please. That's it. Keep the family friendly.
And did I hear a new ham radio YouTube channel, Charlotte?
Maybe. We'll see.
Maybe. Yep. So everyone, go ahead. Post your name suggestions in the chat here and on Discord, and we'll get a good name for it. Probably more creative than my name.
Yeah, I think I'm the bottom of the barrel there. That's just my call sign. That's
Yep.
Mine would be that too if it wasn't about to change, hopefully. So because it will change when I get my full license, I don't want to use it as part of my name.
Yeah.
Yep. Bob, any ham radio moments this week?
Actually, yep. I did some testing on the new APRS LoRa APRS firmware from Ricardo. I did some. He created 3.0 of the Digipeater and the iGate firmware, and that's pretty amazing because that thing is it's a sort of thing that's really useful if it's possible to run it battery operated for a long time. And he managed in one release he halved the energy usage of that firmware, and I think that's pretty amazing. So I got to play with some toys that I've been having for a long time, which is the Nordic Semiconductors Power Profiler Kit 2. That's a mouthful. Which basically it samples current usage 100,000 times, 100,000 times a second, and it measures down to the microamps and up to 1 full amp. So I did some power profiling on that thing and discovered some things. And of course, I made a video of this. So if you're really interested in really nerdy power usage numbers, then you can check that out on my channel. Other than that, I took the XYL to Oslo for an extended, what we call an oval weekend in Norway.
And you actually had to explain the concept of an oval weekend over on Discord, Bob.
I actually had the Google's useless AI managed to, for some strange reason, it managed to explain it perfectly. I don't know, it's probably a malfunction that caused that to happen. But yeah, this is not always apparent to non-English speaking people. But an oval weekend is when you take days in addition to the weekend, so you get more than 2 days of vacation out of a weekend. And of course, I promised not to bring huge radio gear, so I didn't. I brought 8 HTs instead. Honestly, I didn't spend that much time on the radio. We had a day with rain, so I got to play with some slow scan television. Let's see if I can manage to show a few images. I'll try and keep it short. It's got to be this one, I think. Yeah. There we go. So I left the $9 Bofang and the $3 digital mode interface in the hotel room. I just left the HD in the window, and I walked a little bit about Oslo, taking pictures and sending them back from the Vero VRN76. Yeah, that's what it's called. If you pair that with an Android phone, you can actually send pictures from it. They didn't bother implementing that in the iPhone app, but luckily I had an Android tablet with me. So let's see if I can. This is the normal quality that you expect from SSTV images, but actually,
that looks like my Nokia from 20 years ago.
Yeah, they do. And this is a pretty flawless picture. I'm pretty amazed that I managed to transfer it this well. Let's see if the next one. Yeah. This is what happens if you cough or move or something while you transmit. Then you get these the thing in the middle there. So that was not such a nice picture. Nice thing to take a picture of, actually, in the center of Oslo. And this one, again, I think it's pretty amazing that you can transfer that. It takes about 2 minutes to transfer this image over RF. And yeah, I think it's pretty cool. So there's going to be a video at some point on doing slow scan television with HTs and the $3 digital mode interface. And yeah, it's a final picture. Other than that, I don't think there was much radio, actually. I'm sort of disheartened by all the horrible stories I hear about bad conditions. I don't want to spend 3 hours climbing up a mountain just to discover that I have to stay on FD4 for 2.5 hours to make my 4 contacts. It doesn't appeal to me. So hopefully the sun is going to come down a bit and I can start going up mountains again. That's before we get snow in about 2 or 3 minutes here in Norway. That'd be nice.
Yep.
That's I think is my ham radio week. So how about you, Morten? You've been testing radios.
First of all, I just realized that you did you remember in the old days where we showed slideshows from our vacations? You did that, but under the cover of it being testing ham radios.
Indeed, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we do like a test here where you actually send SSTV during the stream and somebody just can decode it like the podcast people after 2 minutes?
I was hoping to, once I get my QO100 thing up, I was hoping to actually do the video link via QO100. That would be a fun thing to do. But we'll see if that ever happens.
And Steve, we're going a bit long today, so we might be we need to add some time in order to actually get to the topic of the day. And that's actually a myth that there's never enough time for the topic on the European Ham Radio Show. That might be plausible, actually.
Yeah.
But anyhow, yeah, I've been testing radios today, or this week, not doing any real ham radio. And I've been doing one of the things I always think is going to be a fun project, but it's really hard to do a review of a mobile radio. There's nothing special to any of these kind of radios. Nothing that kind of sets them apart from each other. But I managed, as per my contract with AliExpress, to churn out 3 videos of this radio. But Not a lot of people have seen them, and I can honestly understand why. They're not my proudest moments. And I also got another thing, and this is probably going to be a more exciting video. I haven't started filming that yet, but I'm going to share my screen here. Because I've been hanging around on Facebook and stuff like that. And people say that this thing is really good to improve the audio. Let's see if I can find my pointer here. To improve the audio for the G106. And it actually does. I had a QSO with Jürgen. You gave me good audio reports on this thing. But it's been designed by someone who doesn't have hands. This is an ergonomically designed nightmare. The PTT button is placed on a spot where you can't really hold this in any sensible way with the microphone towards your mouth and press the PTT button without your hands starting to hurt. And in addition to that, you have to push that PTT button, which is really hard, about 3 centimeters in order to hear that micro switch click, and you can talk on the radio.
That sounds like a good way to limit the length of your passes.
Absolutely. The number of QSOs and the length of your passes is going to be significantly reduced with this mic.
Yeah, so this should be mandatory on 80-meter rings.
But as you can see here, there are a couple of screws, so I might modify the PTT button here some way and see if I can get that done. But it was a fun little thing, not a really good thing, and now I've given away the point of a video I'm going to film soon. And I guess that's my ham radio week. HF has been really, really bad. And now on to the myth part.
Maybe onto a detour. Let me take a comment. Yeah. 1 second. Let me get the right. Here we are. And then I need this button. Here we go. Because you said handsets or radios, VHF, UHF are boring. Yeah, I managed to download the manual for my flea market find at the ham radio fair.
I'm not going to say that they're boring, but these Chinese mobile radios and HDs are practically the same radio, every one of them. There's no way of doing something original on them.
Exactly, that's what I was just saying. This is the 1,000-year-old Kenwood 751, and you get all these nice extra modules that they wanted to sell you. There is a modem unit, which, as far as I understood, is something to quickly switch from some repeater to a simplex channel. So it's somehow a built-in look for a free simplex channel. And then it communicates with the other Kenwood and tells the other Kenwood to QSY to a simplex channel. Yeah, I mean, of course, it's a gadget, right? But just to show you that at those times, the developers, they had some imagination, or they were experimenting with things. Okay, tone unit, I mean, that's obviously CTCSS, because that was just coming up during that time. And I'm not sure what the voice synthesizer unit on a VHF radio does. Maybe it's the usual automatic.
It reads the frequency for blind people.
Right. For blind, visually impaired people, you basically, it tells you what frequency you're on. Yeah. So in the olden days, the handsets or headsets or mobile units, they had some distinguishing features, and they were not all boring and not all the same. That's the only thing that I wanted to say.
To be fair, the Chinese handsets, they have distinguishing features as well. It's just not desirable distinguishing features. I've been testing the H1 case in point, so there'll probably maybe be a video about that, but they do have distinguishing features, absolutely.
But so, Retivis makes really boring radios. Some of them, most of them are actually good, and some of them are just terrible.
Yeah.
And Retivis doesn't sponsor me anymore because I told them I was a little bit too direct on what I thought about their policy sending out radios to YouTubers.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, I think the only Chinese radio that would be interesting for me would be those where you could maybe flash some firmware that supports the M17 protocol, the voice, digital voice codec, so the DMR alternative. But I haven't really looked into which kind of radios are available and which ones can do that and can't do that. So
I think I think the mobile linked thing can do M17. That's a bolt-on device for HTs. I seem to recall having read that you can do that with them, but don't take my word.
I think there are hackable handhelds where you just switch the firmware basically.
The Retivius RT3S and the TYT MD380, I think.
The TYT, that could be right.
Yeah. They do need an add-on board of some kind that you need to put in there, I think, or some soldering on the main board there. I'm not really sure. I've seen it, figured out that I'm not going to do that to one of my favorite DMR radios.
You used favorite and DMR in the same sentence, Martin.
I did. I did not say that I use DMR much, but it's one of my favorite DMR radios.
All right.
And that's because it's running OpenGD77.
Yep.
Anyhow, as
Where
Sid says, next week's topic, busting myths.
By the way, Martin, I think your phone is ringing.
It's just poor coverage here.
You need more ferrites on your microphone.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I do have a ferret here. It came with the microphone. It's probably not any good at all.
Yeah, not for that.
No. I've moved my phone away. So myths. Any myths you guys want to talk about? I got a couple, but let's see what you guys have lined up.
I actually have
and
one.
Now we are drying up rapidly, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no. It's just who's going to go first. No, we're ready.
Go ahead, Marion. It was your suggestion.
Well, I browsed the DX Engineering comments, so I actually have a few that I can turn over to you guys, or we can save them, whichever. But I just wanted to address the myth that you're too old to learn CW. Because I find that, hams will say, new hams will say, life is too short to try to do this. And I just wanted to point out that it may take you longer to learn CW if you're a little older. But it's not you can do it if you put the time into it. W1BOI took about 2 years to really get going. And it takes that, it takes a while. So keep your expectations in check a little bit. So you can do it. And 2, it's really good for your brain. You've probably heard me say this before because I say it every time I get a chance. Not only can you learn CW when you're older, it helps in terms of exercising your brain. Research shows that you can slow down cognitive decline. You can slow down or stop dementia if you catch it early. And if you do really hard memory things, and if you have to think fast. And
learning CW or learning Norwegian are probably on the top 10 things you can do.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I just wanted to throw that out because I hear that, my brain doesn't work that way. I'm too old to learn CW. It does take a lot of practice. I mean, it is learning a foreign language in a way. But you can do it. And not only can you do it, it's really, really good exercise for your brain.
Yep.
And Stian says his main problem with learning CW is remembering to learn CW. So
it's in fact been my biggest problem as well. But I have to inject because you say you can't be too old to learn CW, and then you go on to say it takes 2 years. So you can in fact be too old to learn CW. If you have 1 year to live, you're too old to learn CW.
But
just pointing that out.
Just pointing that out.
But Bob, then you will get one of these beepy machines next to your bed that will do it for you.
Yeah, maybe.
It's getting rapidly morbid.
I think according to Monty Python, that machine says Bing.
Well,
But I had a friend of mine. He promised me to be able to teach me CW in 4 weeks.
Ooh.
So I'm going to try that after summer with 2 2-hour sessions per week. So I'm going to take him up on the offer and see if that's just a myth or he's correct on it.
Yeah, because that's an important thing to add. 4 weeks, like full time, or 4 weeks with that limitation.
4 weeks with 2 hours per week.
Yeah, that's not
And
bad.
a whole lot of homework.
I would assume that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I actually had a CW thing as well. So let's see what you had lined up, Bob.
For the myth.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just the normal technical rant from my part. But there are still, you speak to people that say that a tuner is there are actually hams, ham radio operators, amateur radio operators that think that a tuner is basically just a dummy load to take away the SWR, and that it will consume the power that doesn't make its way to the antenna, and so if you use a tuner, any sort of tuning device, you will just end up with less power out of the antenna. Of course, that's true to a certain extent because any device you put on there will have losses in it. But a well-built tuner, a well-built tuning circuit, a well-built contraption that will tune an antenna is not going to waste an awful lot of energy. And I've been lugging around for probably 2 years now that tiny matchbox-sized tuning circuit that I made for 20 meters, which is basically for a 10-meter tall vertical and some radials, and that matches that really well to a coax-fed feed line. And I use that thing on 100 watts, and for me, the proof that that thing doesn't waste power is I will go 100 watts on the radio with that thing for an hour, and it doesn't heat up at all. So basically, if that thing wastes power, that power has to go somewhere, and that will have to be heat, and that doesn't happen. It's really, really, really simple. You can create a terrible tuning device. You can create a terrible tuner that's not going to do much good. But if you do, it's going to get hot. If whatever you use to tune doesn't get hot, the energy is passing through it and going out the antenna. As simple as that.
And mind you, these are the same people that usually say that a doublet is the best antenna ever.
A dipole.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah.
There is that thing that the slogan of just get a resonant antenna, and to which I will respond, just get a resonant antenna system. That's what you need, but you need that tuner to bring things into resonance. And normally, if you get a resonant antenna for a lot of the things we do, that means a half-wave dipole or a quarter-wave vertical. That's not a particularly effective antenna. That will radiate a lot of its energy into places that no one will hear it. So, and it will receive noise from these places as well and receive. So that's not a particularly good idea. It's a lot better if you're going to do a vertical. It's a lot better to do a 5/8 vertical, and then you need some matching unit, which is basically a tuner to connect that to 50 ohm coax. So, yeah, that's the one big technical myth I would like to bust, that a tuner, any sort of tuning circuit, tuning device, is just some sort of fancy dummy load that will take away the protect your radio and take the heat instead of your radio.
Yep. I often hear Ham say that I only have resonant antennas and no tuner, and that's the best thing in my system. They negate to mention that they have a huge beam at 16 meters height, the size of their house, and that's probably why they're making contacts. Not that they're not using a tuner.
Yeah, that's true. But even a beam could probably be made more effective by not having it be a quarter wavelength thing. Yeah, at least verticals for sure.
Wavelength.
And yeah. Half wavelength, yeah, of course. Quarter wavelength in each direction, and or half a wavelength. Yeah. So it's It annoys me a little bit, and it surprises me a little bit, because a lot of hams that has been doing this for 20, 30, 40 years still believe in that. And they need to stop. And at least they need to stop teaching that to new hams, because it's just not true. A well-built tuning device, tuning circuit is not going to waste a lot of power. So.
Yeah, but I don't even know if it's malice or just old information. Like, I mean, if you were born at a certain time and grew up and were familiar with the ferrites and parts available at that time, maybe they indeed were crap, right? But these days, I don't think.
Yeah. I'm not
true
saying
anymore.
I'm not saying it's malice. I don't think they do this to be difficult or to confuse. But it's you shouldn't. This is my gripe with AI as well. When you're not really sure, or when you don't know that you have the full picture, when you don't know that you know everything.
Don't get me started on AI.
Yeah, you should be really careful giving people advice based on the things that you don't really understand or really know. That's what I'm saying. And this is coming from me. I know everything, so trust me.
Yeah, and you're often the prime example of the Dunning-Kruger effect there, Bob. So
I'm not sure. Either you or me doesn't completely understand what that effect is, but we can speak about that another time.
Exactly. So this might be proving the Dunning-Kruger effect, that I'm actually talking about the Dunning-Kruger effect.
I don't know.
Let's see. But I want to address that ham that I didn't get a QSO with yesterday. That thought it was a contest station. I heard him saying to that English station that you need an amplifier. You really do always use an amplifier, always use a kilowatt. And you don't. Simply enough. You can get by with any amount of power depending on your expectations, your QTH, and what you're trying to do, though.
Yeah, and that's just... Yeah, and that's just
always shouting the loudest doesn't help if you have tiny ears.
Yep.
Yeah. That's just poor operating tactics, but technique.
It is. But I've never had the need for an amplifier for the 5 years I've been a ham until now, when I finally have an antenna that listens better than it actually transmits. But
that's probably because you haven't had one. I grew up with one, like the first years I was a ham, and it gets very addictive to have
I can certainly understand it getting addictive. Having a huge beam and an amplifier and being able to get every single station. But then again, where's the challenge in it? I tend to go out and by intention crippling myself to see if it's possible to do things with 5 watts and a poor antenna. And it usually is.
I don't need to cripple myself, because by design, no. But yeah, I understand. I think it can be incredibly fun if you have the big beam and the rotator and everybody hears you and you hear everybody. That's great, but I mean the reality is like 95% of all hams don't operate that way, right? So
we actually had a guy in our club. He's a silent key now. He had the tallest privately owned radio tower in Norway with a gigantic beam on it, and he took his beam down because he said it got boring. There's no challenge in this. If I hear someone, I can run them.
I've heard people say that. Some of those guys who have just done all this incredible DXing, and then their station is so perfect that they've gone to like doing sodas, like I just need to do something totally different. But I was browsing the DX engineering Mythbuster thingies and just kind of, looking for themes. And one of the things that stood out to me is this idea that one part of your radio system is the most important and all else is secondary. So like, if you have the most expensive radio, then you're set. Or you have the biggest amplifier, then you're set. And I kind of think antennas are where it's at. My husband hears me say all the time, I want more antennas. But, kind of this idea that if you have a lot of power, then that's all you need. Like if you've got wattage, then you're good. And I think, that it really causes problems when you're not looking at the whole system, right? The whole start to finish of the transmission and the reception.
Yeah, I agree with that one. And also, thanks, Bob.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I don't think you got the
Thanks for
membership.
supporting the channel.
Yeah. No, but I totally agree. Like there's somebody that says like buy this and everything is okay, and then buy another expensive thing, or on the other hand, somebody saying that get a perfect antenna and you can do everything you want. That is not going to solve it either. Everything, well, you can say it depends. Everything is a compromise. There is nothing in this hobby that is perfect.
And exactly. And even that huge beam on that tall tower is a compromise. It's a compromise of time, money, and space.
Yeah, and maintenance and everything else. It's never a simple thing or a single thing there. So
no.
So you just have to be reasonable and balance your things. I mean, there's no need to buy Hilberling rig if you use waterlocked RG58 to a stubby antenna, right? So
no, but
I mean, you just have to see the whole picture, right? And try to make the best with what you have and what you can afford and the space and the environment, etc., etc. It depends. No, sorry, Marian, we are getting you drunk tonight.
The base is the same as if you have like multiple. Like the more things you get, that's getting closer to being very good. Of course, the better you will get. But like the increments is going to be smaller and smaller the more money you put in. Like doubling the money is not going to give you double the QSOs.
Exactly. And don't let perfect be the enemy of good enough.
I remember having
and especially when sorry to interrupt there. That's also true when you're building things, because I get pretty much obsessed in doing a good job when I build stuff, but realistically 80% is good enough 99% of the time, right? And it's really hard for me to stop and say, hey, this is good enough, just get off your lazy bum, switch on the rig and just use it, right?
And this reminds me of a Elmer, or like an old-timer ham, not an Elmer. He was absolutely not an Elmer, but in a club I was in, who said that the goal of every ham is perfection when it comes to equipment. And I kind of disagreed very openly. Because perfection means that you will never get out there. It will never get you out in the field. So, but that's not a myth.
I see that. I get people that I've known for years that send me questions and say that, is this a good setup? Will this work? And we got a cat here.
Hey, cat.
and my response is usually go ahead and try it. Either it'll work, it won't work, or perhaps it'll work just halfway, but you'll learn something in the way.
Don't believe it, try it.
Exactly. Don't read up and don't try to make it as perfect as possible and then end up not being able to do it because you spent all this time, money, and effort on getting the perfect solution.
Yeah, but I can get that.
Go on.
Go ahead, Charlotte.
I was just going to say, I think it's sometimes, especially when you're new as well, and you're looking at, buying like your first rigs. I remember asking you guys, what do I get? What do I do? And there are so many different options, and they're all at different price points, and they all promise completely different things. And I remember looking at all of this and thinking, I don't know. I just want to play radio and have fun. And
the truth is, most rigs do exactly the same thing.
Yeah. I have a myth that we could see here. The myth that N1MM is easy to set up.
It is when you have a station engineer. That's the key. You need a station engineer.
That doesn't make it easy to set up. That makes it easy to have set up for you.
Huge difference about that, Marian. Is there any chance that Stan would like to fly over on the first full weekend of September and set up N1MM for our fielding?
N1MM is easy to set up if you know how to do it.
So it's rocket science.
And,
No,
and
but
having said that, I think I think Callum has a lot of videos on setting up N1MM, and I watched them and I set them up, and I forgot everything about it. And now, if I want to change anything, I have to watch all those videos again.
Yeah, but I actually do think that is on the myth side, because it is complicated to set up, but it's by no means very hard. You just have to read and understand what the different settings and the abbreviations do.
As somebody who hates keyboard shortcuts and can barely remember Control-C, Control-V for cut and paste, it's really a challenge.
but I gotta say though, N1MM is easier than the menu system of EAC FT2000.
Yes, and it is an amazing program to use once it's set up.
Okay, maybe. Have you thought about that? Maybe the menu system in Yaesu makes perfect sense when it's in Japanese icons, right? Maybe it's just the translation to English that makes it completely ununderstandable.
Yeah, that might be actually a good point.
Maybe in kanji it makes perfect sense that menu item is next to the other one, and just in English it's what the heck?
Yeah, and the arbitrary combinations of letters and symbols and numbers actually make sense.
Yeah. So basically, what you're saying, Tobias, it's easier to learn Japanese than to understand the menus of a EAC radio.
I should try that. The wife of a friend is fluent in Japanese. Maybe I should show her the manual of one of the Yaesu rigs and ask her if it makes more sense in Japanese.
You got a good video idea there.
Yeah, if Adolf gets hold of Tobias's Yaesu, we'll change the language to Japanese.
Before I ship it, right? That'll teach you buggers.
I got another myth. You need to know what you're doing in order to start a ham radio YouTube channel.
No.
I hope that's not true.
No.
Charlotte,
Actually,
listen
the
up.
less you know, the funnier the videos are.
I was going to say, if you know what you're doing, you probably would never start a YouTube ham radio.
Exactly. I think I'd been licensed for 7 months when I made my first YouTube video.
Wow.
And I can see that I know more stuff now than I did then.
Well, it's turned out well. I mean, if looking at where the Discord, where the channel is now, you should be all of you should be really, really proud.
It's a nice community.
It is. And thanks to Tobias, who suggested the European Digimode net, this thing actually happened.
Yeah. And
I think it's amazing. I mean, we don't have, if you see the ratio of people who are subscribers to the YouTube channel and the number of people we have in the Discord, we can be proud, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think so. About half of our subscribers are members of the Discord.
Pretty good.
Oh,
yeah.
And I hope everybody's still having fun there.
Yeah, and I hope people still are enjoying the European Ham Radio Show, and it seems like that looking at the numbers. So.
Yeah, and you get to meet very nice people and so on. So it's a nice thing.
Some have even better luck than others in that department.
So what time are you going to Norway, Charlotte?
Oh, my flight's at 6 a.m.
Tomorrow?
No, on Wednesday. So Wednesday morning. So I leave Edinburgh at 6 a.m. So I'm going to be looking fresh and bright as a button by the time I land into the Vancouver. I'll be like, oh my God.
You haven't been together that long, though. Shetan won't notice.
No. Completely okay.
What are your plans for next week?
We are going to do some Parks on the Air and SOTA activations, and we're going to do some sightseeing. There's some amazing nature here in Western Norway, and we're going on a boat cruise in something called Lysefjord, which is like a fjord with 1 kilometer high walls on each side. going in there and then camping on there, visiting some Viking stuff. Yeah, the full like Norwegian tourist package.
Let me give
as well.
Let me give you one piece of advice. If you're going on a summit and Kjetil says it's a difficult one, believe him.
Yes. Because when I say that thing is steep, I mean it's steep, like that way.
When you say that thing is steep, you mean it's horizontal, no vertical. I mean,
I am not Danish, but
that's I'm never distrusting you again when you say something is difficult on a summit.
I would even be skeptical if he says that's an easy summit, right? So be careful.
He's meant to have left his lips, by the way, more than once about the ones that we're going to do.
So you're still at that phase in your relationship where you're willing to go on summits with Kjetil.
If Kjetil brings a rope, you should rethink it.
Most of the hard summits here have rope permanently installed.
Okay.
Yeah, that's reassuring.
Yes.
Yeah, that's reassuring.
So we're
Anyway,
boasting,
your primary target is to, A, have fun, and B, come back in one piece, whatever sightseeing adventures you're planning.
Yeah, and as Yankee Oscar 3 Golf November uniform says in chat here, don't forget the worldwide bunkers on the air. We do have bunkers as well, but I don't think there's anywhere we'll be activating. But they are very close to the airport. So,
oh, nice.
Yes.
Nice.
At some point, when there's more time on this, he will tell you about our first in-person date, and I was keeping it really classy at the top of Carlton Hill.
And you made a Discord moment out of that, Charlotte. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Oh no, there was Well, that was nice.
That was the nice part. Yes,
that was the nice part.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a myth to be busted there that you can't find love in ham radio. I mean, that's
we have two examples over there.
Yep,
both of you.
It's really easy to pick up girls in ham radio. No, sorry, it's really easy to pick up guys in ham radio. That's the one.
Yeah, that's one.
LB3FJ will be in Stavanger in a week, Kjetil.
Nice. Please send me a ping on Discord, Stian, and maybe we'll do something.
Excellent.
That would be really cool. And that applies to everybody else who's visiting. If you're going somewhere in Europe or other places, send a message on Discord and hear if there's anybody that lives close by. Maybe they know of a very simple summit to go to, or maybe they want to do an eyeball QSO or a joint activation, something like that. And that is really fun.
Yeah, that is a really nice thing about ham radio. I think we're pretty much run out of myths now. And but
we'll collect new myths for next week, right?
Yeah, thanks to Jürgen though, we actually do have some planning now because Jürgen updated our planning sheet. So we actually know what we're going to do the next couple of weeks, and next week's topic is ham radio on vacation. And I just picked that. Well, I'm going to be on vacation next week, so it'll be a good topic when I'm wherever I'll be next Sunday.
Are you going to try to stream with that horrible little tablet you tried?
No, I'm not going to stream with that. I did the last time we tried to do the ham radio on vacation stream.
Yeah,
I'm going to bring a proper computer. And
I think next week I'll be in Berlin. And as you said, Kjetil, I can mention this. If anyone has any ideas of cool ham radio things to do in Berlin, then say so on our Discord. I'll be there. I'm going down tomorrow. I'm coming down on coming back up next Sunday. So probably I'll start boarding the plane at about the time when the show starts. I'll see if I can manage the first few minutes, but I'm guessing they're not going to allow me to stream from inside the plane. That would be cool though. But
depends on the airline though.
Yeah,
from the cockpit, no problem.
I flew Air Baltic a couple of months back, and they had Starlink on board, and that internet was faster than my internet at home.
Yep.
Yeah, it may be a bit noisy.
Yeah, that might be.
Yeah.
I had internet on Norwegian, but it was slow.
Yeah, I've never been able to make that work the way it's supposed to work. So, and it's expensive. We're going to do another round of TEHRS on the air on the 20th. So then we're going to, since no one has had any objections to the stuff I put into the planning sheet, I'm just announcing it now.
And a short announcement from Joachim, Lima Bravo 4 Lima, India. If anybody happens to be on 20 meters, he's on with Scouts as Lima Alpha 1 Scout Station on 14290, 14.290 right now. So anybody want to work in Norwegian Scouts?
That's a good tip for those of you who are far enough away from that camp in order to do a 20-meter QSO.
Yeah, so that's Lima Alpha 1 Scout Station, or Sierra Sierra for the boring people.
14297?
290.
90, okay.
Yep. And then our Bornholm trip is coming up. If you're going to be on that, it's going to be a lot of fun. If you're not, you're going to see a lot of it because there are going to be a couple of YouTubers there.
Yeah.
So we might need to do a live stream and some videos from that. Anyhow, we'll be back next week. See you then. Thank you, Charlotte and Marion, for being on.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, great to be here always.
It's always great to have you guys on. 7-3 all, and we'll be back next week.
7-3.
7-3.
7-3. It depends.